Lunchtime is over.
What's that?
Your keys, man.
I see you've played knifey spoony before. Hey!
What's up everyone, Adam from FWCI, and this is a reaction to the new Rockstar's Deep Dive Jurassic Park breakdown. And this is Eric Voss. I love Eric Voss's work. I watch a lot of his stuff. I always follow his Marvel videos. And I can't wait to see what he says about Jurassic Park, because I consider myself a Jurassic Park superfan. I was like, what, it came out in 93, I believe, and wouldn't that be embarrassing if it didn't? I mean 92, but pretty sure it was 93. And I was 7 at the time. I was the perfect age for it. I saw it in the movies. I had all the action figures. I think I've told this story on the channel before, but my auntie had to fight this decrepit 90-year-old woman just to get me the last Robert Muldoon action figure to complete my set. Legend has it that my Auntie Anne grabbed this old woman by the shoulders and just launched her across the Target store into one of the displays, and her head went that way and her legs went that way, and the moral of the story is I got all the Jurassic Park action figures, and I was a very happy boy because of that. So I know the Jurassic Park trivia, I've seen the movie gajillions of times, I could recite certain scenes, and I'm curious to see what Eric Voss has to say, because there's a lot of obvious stuff out there, stuff that's been on like the films that made us, and you know, other documentaries and stuff over the years. There's a guy called Clayton Fiorini or something like that. I'll put his channel down there. He has a Jurassic Park channel that is unbelievable. He talks about like unreleased sequels and has like pictures of like concepts that were going to make dinosaur humans and all this weird stuff, and he goes, it's a very thorough Jurassic Park channel, so go check him out. This is the channel right here. Let's jump in. EA Voss, what do you got?
A symphonic coda bridging the rippling water, which by the way was created by plucking guitar strings hidden beneath the dashboard.
Yes, I'm aware of that one.
Thrilling sequences in film history that jerks online dismiss by pointing out that the T-Rex enclosure somehow turns into a cliff, but this plot hole can be filled, and this nerd's life will find a way.
Okay, he's gonna fill the plot hole about the fact that it goes from being a paddock to being a goddamn just plunging cliffside. I want to hear this, because that has bugged me for years.
1993 was the peak of Schindler's List, 2 movies that he somehow worked on at the same time. But did Jurassic Park go on to haunt our greatest director with technological...
I was not aware of that.
Let's dive in. The film opens on Isla Nublar, a fictional island 120 miles west of Costa Rica, a country that my wife and I visited on our honeymoon because yes, we are obsessed with this movie, even though they shot most of it in Kauai. This opening forklift, cold gray steel mowing down green flora, a recurring contrast in this movie of nature versus technology.
I kind of dig that. This is what I like about these videos. What he's talking about there is like all that symbolism of, yeah, the technology just barreling down all those trees at the very beginning. Like, I always just sort of look at it as a literal choice, but a lot more sort of, I'm going to enjoy this video. This is going to be great.
Overseeing this Velociraptor transfer is the park's game warden,
Muldoon!
Poor gatekeeper Joffrey gets dragged back in, but Spielberg wisely keeps the creature off screen, learning his own lesson from Jaws that less is more early in
yeah, very good point.
Unnaturally upward evokes the way poor Susan Backlany gets dragged through the water in the opening scene of Jaws, intercutting
Kind of does.
followed by Muldoon's eye. I like to think that in this moment, the big one is marking him for the kill later on.
That one. When she looks at you, you can see she's working things out.
I really like that observation as well, that Muldoon and the raptor make eye contact at that very moment. And yeah, exactly like Muldoon says, like it's a very highly intelligent animal that figures things out.
The teaser trailer for Jurassic Park did not use any footage from the movie, just promo shots from a South American mine showing the discovery of a different piece of amber and the lab harvesting blood from a mosquito. And it's just so cool to think back on a time when showing just some promo shots around the context of the movie was enough to sell it. Juanito had told Gennaro that real paleontology...
That's a really interesting point. Yeah, I don't remember the advertising campaign for Jurassic Park. I just remember when it hit, like it hit really hard.
While the movie and Crichton's book are titled Jurassic Park, most of the dinosaurs we see in the movie,
Cretaceous period.
the Brachiosaurus and the Dilophosaurus, come from the Jurassic period, but not the T-Rex, the Triceratops, the Velociraptor, and a number of others. But remember, the company of InGen is defying nature. They're mixing plants and animals from across periods. And Crichton includes a line here from Grant to show that they're aware of this.
Try to imagine yourself in the Cretaceous period.
Grant scares the hell out of this poor skeptical kid.
That's when the attack comes, not from the front.
So I like the theory that that kid is Owen from the future movies. I hope Eric Voss addresses it. And just quickly, I did read the book when I was a kid as well, and I loved all the differences between the book and the movie. But yeah, just let you know, I'm up to date on the book as well.
John Hammond's helicopter blows dirt on all the fossils, showing how little he really cares about actual paleontology, or I like to think of it as the dinos hiding themselves from creepy Walt Disney. Now, Sean Connery was considered for the role of this Scotsman after Spielberg worked with him in Indiana.
What? Sean Connery and Harrison Ford? I cannot imagine this movie with them in it.
John Hammond in Crichton's book was a far more villainous character, but Steven Spielberg frames the character in this movie as more of a naive, impish dreamer in the vein of Walt Disney or P.T. Barnum, or really, Steven Spielberg himself. We're going to talk more about how this movie used...
Yeah, Hammond is a real asshole in the book, and he cops it at the end as well. Like, that was one of the big things I noticed was Hammond was just so much more of a prick.
It's a science, and they're never clean and well washed. They're always dirty and sweaty, more part of the natural world than the technological one. Dodgson, we got Dodgson here! The man working for Biosyn, which is the rival company to John Hammond's InGen, arrives in San Jose. This ain't San Jose. San Jose is not on the coast in Costa Rica. But I just noticed this. Dodgson leaves the cab door open and stiffs the cab driver. Don't get cheap on us, Dodgson. Now, Dennis Nedry actually says this line, and he follows...
You can tell Eric Voss loves this movie. And yeah, tell me more about Dodgson, because he obviously becomes quite important in the later movie. And by the way, I loved the final movie, Fallen Kingdom. No, not Fallen Kingdom. Whatever the very latest one was, where they got everybody back, and Dodgson was the villain. Love it.
Everyone gets to know Ian Malcolm on the helicopter. Oh my god. Malcolm wears all black, Hammond wears all white, showing how Hammond is a blind optimist, whereas Malcolm, as an expert,
That's a very good observation as well. I like that.
to buckle up two female ends of the seatbelt, and light finds a way as he ties the knot out of them, showing his ingenuity and how...
Nice. Of course. Because all the animals in the park are female, and he picks up two female plugs, and they don't work. Eric Voss, you're a fucking genius.
frames Grant and the others passing by the large T-Rex fossil display, setting up the mousetrap that this film's final climax will take place in. Hammond's ride, where a video version of himself steps forward, was inspired by Walt Disney's Carousel of Progress at Disneyland.
Jesus, that's horrifying.
They pass the hatchery lab, and Gennaro asks,
Are these characters erotica? No.
I know, what the f***? Gennaro reveals his kink! And he can't even tell if real human beings are animatronic. B.D. Wong plays the great Dr. Henry Wu in this film, and in all three films of the sequel trilogy, Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, and Dominion.
I love it. I love that he stayed around.
They debate the ethics of this park's existence over lunch in this weird room with projector slides beaming past everyone and flipping every few seconds.
It is a weird room.
Hammond's grandson Tim has clearly dressed like Grant, blue shirt, scarf around the neck, and Spielberg stays on them for 50 seconds in the shot going through the trucks. Another sneaky Spielberg oneer to show Grant trying to sidestep these kids as if they're swarming raptors on him. The automated tour takes...
You know, that's another good observation as well. The fact that that's all one shot, that's a great scene of Alan Grant. I always wondered what would happen if Grant just like grabbed Tim's book and just like launched it into the water or something.
As they pass empty paddocks for the Dilophosaurus and the T-Rex, and not seeing these dinosaurs, we wonder where they are, and as with the shark, that just gives us more anxiety.
And then the big reveal with the T-Rex, it all works so good.
The Triceratops' belly inflates, they blew into a toy called a Zoop Tube to add harmonics to it. And yes, this is one half of my all-time favorite gift. Nedry shuts down the security system to steal the embryos, including one from a Stegosaurus, misspelled.
Yeah, what is up with this bit? There's a bunch that are all spelled incorrect.
First shot we see of the T-Rex is just its head, Stan Winston's animatronic, in the act of eating the goat. So the prop is interacting with something we just saw to be real, so all together it looks more real in our heads. Now they had to reinforce stage 16 of the Warner Brothers backlot to support the 12,000 pound weight of this hydraulic T-Rex.
1,000 pounds, Jesus.
But we see how small these kids are compared to the mouth and how close they are to the teeth. Now, let's talk about the impossible cliff. The T-Rex walked in from a jungle enclosure, but now on the other side of that fence is a huge drop-off. Now, this is actually all explained. Various scene maps drawn since the release illustrate how
What is this? So this is what it is. This is how it's supposed to look. I want to see more of it. Is there a hill that goes down there, or is that a drop-off as well? Because the concrete stops. I don't know.
and where the Rex emerged from, but the car isn't next to that, it's next to a sharp precipice, representing a 50 or 60 foot drop. And Phil Tippett mocked up some previs animation showing the T-Rex dragging the kids truck backward first toward that part of the drop off. So 3 explanations. I never want to hear about this plot hole ever again. And when Nedry tries to free his truck, Spielberg mixes in a cartoon banana peel sound effect.
Yeah, I always noticed that.
Saurus, whose ability to spit acid was not based on science, it's just something Crichton made up, and its colorful frill was even conceived by
The other little thing that I remember noticing, at the very, very end, one of the raptors is about to lunge and it gets taken by the T-Rex. His eye, like, gleams for a very split second, and it looks like it's a CGI gleam because it really, like, gets wider. I wonder if he's going to mention that.
to the side of it and leaves a dent, but it's all in motion, so the T-Rex must be VFX, right? They couldn't build a prop dinosaur that could run like this. But the dent is practical. That door actually bows inward, and that handle...
Wow, yeah, good point. Wow.
So they must have used a mechanism to bend and break the side of the truck, perfectly timed with the actors diving out of the way, so that later they could map in the VFX of the T-Rex. In the gift shop, there is a shot of a book on a shelf, The Making of Jurassic Park by Don Shea and Jody Duncan, who actually wrote the real-life book about this.
I was not aware of that one.
Later in the kitchen, we see the freezer doors were left open. This is what caused the ice to melt into puddles, and then when the power got turned back on, that water froze over, making the floor slippery and icy, making the raptor slip so that Tim can trap her in there. But Hammond tells Sadler,
yeah, that raptor would have got out there and eaten Tim straight away.
the ILM simulation that blew the producers' minds is the VFX shot in this movie that probably aged the worst, and I just think it's because it didn't mix in any kind of live action puppets to give us an initial practical sample that we could latch onto. Now, Spielberg constructs some dramatic irony tension of Sadler resetting the fuse box while Grant and the kids climb over the fence.
Oh, that was so good.
Getting zapped, so we think we've hit rock bottom, and we do not expect this.
I think we're back in business.
Yes, an excellent structural jump scare. This is a raptor who got Samuel L. Jackson, who dies an off-screen death, leaving behind an arm that is a different shade than his own skin. Shortly after this,
Clever girl.
proving Grant right about them attacking from the sides. The kids hide in the kitchen from the raptors, the most tense scene of the film.
Yeah.
Unlike the Gallimimus stampede,
The kitchen scene is definitely my favorite scene from this movie, and man, it's so tense. Like, I still, every now and then, I'll have a nightmare where I'm being chased by velociraptors. It's a weird thing that keeps coming back, and it's got to be from this scene, because this is just, I don't remember being traumatized by it as a kid. I found it, like, interesting, but as an adult, it's way more intense.
the raptors' reflections on all the stainless steel surfaces. All these reflections had to be painted in. Lex uses these reflective surfaces to her advantage, hiding in an appliance and trying to close the gate, but really the raptors are just seeing her reflection.
I never understood that bit.
In here, the moment when Danny hides from Jack in the kitchen by crawling in an oven. Lex, the amateur hacker, springs into action to glide through the Unix.
It's the Unix system.
Like Muldoon screamed "Shoutout" in the opening scene, but we don't actually see any shots fired, just kind of tasers prodding. I don't think he really gets a shot off when the raptor tackles him, and here we just see the aftermath of a shootout.
That's a good point.
Originally, the T-Rex wasn't going to appear in the final sequence at all. It was just going to be a raptor on the suspended fossils, as Grant would use a mechanical contraption, kind of like a marionette, to KO the raptor. Spielberg, though, realized the T-Rex was really the star of this movie.
Yeah, you gotta bring him back. Her back.
So he essentially makes her the hero who saves the humans. She's the one left.
That's that scene I was talking about.
The villain for Michael Crichton's movie is John Hammond, but Spielberg could not allow Hammond to be too evil because Spielberg saw too much of himself in this character.
The next great thing and yet we take no responsibility for our own creations.
And Spielberg's production designer Rick Carter described its legacy in a very interesting way.
There's a lot of dark themes in Jurassic Park that are about, unleashing Pandora's box. As it turns out, it's not only genetic engineering, which is a theme in the movie, it's actually the digital revolution coming out right from behind the fence.
Wow, that is a really interesting take.
He's still the best filmmaker alive, and I will spare no expense to watch everything he makes. So Spielberg's summer will continue with my favorite of his films, the most important to me and to my family, Jaws.
I learned quite a bit throughout that about Eric Voss, again, he always just breaks this down in such an interesting way. Some of the symbolism stuff that was throughout, I'll probably cut it out, but he talked about like natural light being blinding, and that was kind of a theme, and I kind of get what he's saying with that. And every now and then I'm watching these ones and he kind of pieces something together and it sounds a little bit wanky or a little bit kind of far-fetched, but this one was pretty solid the entire way through. And now I'm just in the mood to go and watch Jurassic Park. You know what I need to get my hands on is, there was a Telltale Jurassic Park game. I want to play that. I never got a chance to play it. It wasn't on everything, but I need to get my hands on that and play that. And I need to finish watching Camp Cretaceous as well. I enjoyed that for what it was. I actually found did I watch the first 2 seasons? Quite interesting. Bumpy. How great is Bumpy? Come on. But thank you for checking this one out. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, everyone, be well, stay safe, look after your friends. See you in the next video. Peace.